Cool. Yeah, people still logging in, so we will give everybody about 4 minutes to join us. If you're just joining, preheat your oven to 350 degrees and make sure those hands are good and clean.
Mommy, you said 350 degrees.
Also, you're going to want to open the chat box. So if you go to the bottom of the screen, there's a little chat bubble. Go ahead and click on that so that the chat box is open, because I have everyone on mute, and that's where we're going to communicate. You could type your questions and comments in over there. And if you're just joining us, welcome, welcome. Hi there. Everybody's getting set up, so let's make sure your oven is preheating at 350 degrees. And make sure those hands are good and clean. And we'll get started in 2 minutes. Everybody's getting their technology situated. You guys excited to be making some nachos? That's one of my favorite snacks. And this makes a lot of nachos, so I hope you plan on sharing with your family, because you're going to have a lot of nachos at the end. All right, so if you haven't already, preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Make sure your hands are nice and clean. And you're also going to want to open the chat box. So if you haven't opened the chat box, just go hover over your screen and you'll see the chat bubble at the bottom. Click that, and you can type in the chat box to communicate, because I have everyone's microphone muted, because when the microphones are open, it makes a terrible feedback sound. All right, it looks like everyone is in, and if folks join us along the way, we'll get them caught up, okay? Ready to go over your mise en place, which is everything you will need to cook today? All right, we are making nachos. Let's see, we're gonna start with a filling that can either be made with cooked meat or beans that have been cooked. So you should have about 1.5 cups of either cooked meat that's chopped up or ground, or beans, a can of diced tomatoes with chilies, okay, and then a bunch of spices. You may not have all of these spices, but use what you do have. Some smoked paprika, cumin, onion powder, garlic powder. Yes, we are. Oregano and chili powder. Yeah, baby, come get it. Get what? Those will be our spices that we're going to use. Here you go. I didn't say that. Well, this is what we can do. I'm doing a class right now. All right. So we're also going to use some cheese. Yes, the meat should be cooked already. And if you're using canned beans, you just need to drain them, rinse them, and put them in a bowl. Yeah, the meat should already be cooked. And some shredded cheese. Now, if you've got meat that needs to be cooked, you can go ahead and start that in a pan now. Like ground meat, it'll cook pretty quickly. And then just drain off any excess fat. All right, if you need to open up your tomatoes, let's get a can opener and get those tomatoes open. If your beans are still in a can, let's get that can open and get those beans drained and rinsed. That way we have everything ready to go. This isn't a very long class because nachos don't take very long. The longest part is getting everything ready. Let's just drop that in there. So we've got our tomatoes ready. Got our beans ready. Okay, I see some folks still getting that ready, so that's fine. And we should have a skillet because we're going to heat the meat or the beans, or the meat and the beans, in the skillet. You're also going to make sure you have your measuring spoons ready to measure out all the spices. So I see while we're getting things together, a quick little scramble there. I'm going to go ahead and type into the chat box the spices that we're going to use. Even though I talked about them, we're going to measure them out together. So as you can see, we're going to use a ½ teaspoon each for the first spices. That's going to be the chili powder, smoked paprika, cumin, oregano, and onion powder. And then we're going to use less than that, ¼ teaspoon for the garlic powder. Now, even if your meat is already cooked, it's probably already seasoned up for your beans. We're just adding additional flavor so that our nachos are really flavorful and taste really good. All right. So everyone's oven should be preheating at 350 degrees, and it looks like everybody's got their stuff together for their mise en place. The last thing you're going to need is a pan lined with foil. Now, if you're making the full recipe, it's for a large sheet pan, something this size. Like a sheet pan or a baking dish for the full recipe, because you want to spread your tortilla chips out so that they're not all piled up on top of each other.
So are we spreading out the tortilla chips right now?
Not yet. We will in just a minute, but not yet. All right, looks like everyone has their ingredients together. Let's get started. So you want to turn your pan on over medium heat. Add your tomatoes with the diced chilies in it. And then you're going to add your beans or your cooked meat to that. So in the pan, we have combined our tomatoes and our beans or cooked meat. And just give that a quick little stir. Next, you want to grab your ½ teaspoon, or if you're using a teaspoon, you can just estimate half of it, to measure each one of those spices right into the pan. So we started with the chili powder. I'm going to use a ½ teaspoon of chili powder right into the mixture with the meat or the beans and the tomatoes. After the chili powder.
Did you drain the tomatoes first?
Nope, they went in with all their juices. And the idea is to have them simmer down a little bit. Next, I'm going to go in with my smoked paprika and get a ½ teaspoon of that right into the pan. My cumin, ½ teaspoon of that as well. and the oregano. That goes right in the pan. And the onion powder. Right into the pan. Now when it comes to the garlic powder, you don't want as much because garlic powder can be pretty strong. So we're going to reduce that down to 1/4 of a teaspoon. So basically just a pinch of garlic powder. Once you have all your spices in the pan, go ahead and give it a stir. And we want to increase the heat just a little bit so this starts to simmer. We want those tomatoes.
Are we supposed to put in cumin?
Yes. 1/2 teaspoon of cumin. And then turn your heat up so it's just past medium because we want this to come up to a simmer and let those tomato juices reduce down. And if you need to review the spices, I typed them over in the chat box. It's 1/2 teaspoon each of chili powder, smoked paprika, cumin, oregano, and onion powder. And to that, we added 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. And we want it to come up to a simmer, which is the bubbling, small bubbles, not big bubbles like a boil. So all of those flavors can combine and the tomato juices can reduce down. And it'll make it kind of like a gravy. Once you get everything in the pan, just meet me back here on camera and give me a thumbs up and I'll know you're ready for the next step. Cool. We're just gonna let that cook and get our pan ready for the next step. Anytime you're stirring a pan, you want to make sure you hold on to the handle so that it doesn't accidentally slip off the burner. Anytime you're stirring a bowl or a pot, you want to do the same thing. Hold on to it so that it doesn't get away from you. Okay, it looks like everyone's meat or beans and tomatoes are working. And we're ready for the next step. Get your pan and line it with foil or parchment paper, either one. Because that's going to prevent it from sticking. If you don't have foil or parchment paper, you can also use non-stick cooking spray. But we want a layer of protection here to keep our nachos from sticking because we are definitely going to use some cheese. We want to put our tortilla chips in the pan in one layer and kind of spread them out as much as possible. And again, if you're doing the full recipe, you're going to use a larger pan so that you can spread those tortilla chips out in one layer. Woo! Can't get that bag open. Now the crunchier, thicker tortilla chips really are best for nachos. The thin chips just tend to break down and get soggy. Let's spread these tortillas out in one layer. And on top of that, you're gonna add your grated cheese and it will melt into those nachos like a nice cheesy blanket. So sprinkle your grated cheese to cover those tortilla chips. Next, you want to use a slotted spoon to scoop out your meat and tomato mixture or your beans and tomato mixture and sprinkle about half of that over your tortillas. That's the first layer of our nacho deliciousness right there. Let's repeat it with a second layer. So you can turn your meat and tomato mixture off It's heated through now. Grab your tortilla chips and let's do a second layer right on top of that first layer. We're going to repeat the entire process with the chips, the cheese, and then the beans or meat. So chips, cheese, and then the beans or meat. There we go. Got my second layer of cheese. And I'm going in for my second layer of my beans and tomatoes right on top of that. It's almost like making a pie, a nacho pie. All right. I just remembered I had some queso dip in the fridge, so I'm gonna put that in here too to melt with the rest of my cheese, because I firmly believe that cheese is a really good thing. And because it's cold, I'll just dot it in there, little bits of queso. So if you happen to have some queso dip in the fridge, you can add it to these nachos, or you can heat it up and serve it on the side. And for fun, because I've been experimenting with nachos all week, I thought I would take some of these fried chicken tenders that we have left over from dinner and maybe put them on top too. So it's like a fried chicken nacho deal. Does that sound really possibly delicious? Because I thought it did. So you can experiment with your nachos to come up with some really cool combinations. And your own chef signature dish. So here's my nachos in 2 layers. You got your nachos in 2 layers. I'm adding my secret ingredient of the day, which is pre-cooked and sliced fried chicken.
I just accidentally logged out.
Okay.
And I have my nachos out and I'm putting cheese on it.
Yep.
So that's
okay.
great.
Yep, so you're gonna do a layer of chips, a layer of cheese, and a layer of your tomato meat bean combination. And then repeat that with another layer of chips on top of that, with cheese, and again with the meat bean combination. At that point, you're ready to go in the oven for 5 minutes because the oven has been preheating and it's ready to go. So once you get your nachos assembled, give me a thumbs up. I see everybody's still working to get them together, so that's good. Get your layers in order. Chips, cheese, filling. And then another layer, chips, cheese, filling. So you should have 2 layers in your pan ready to go. And then once you have your 2 layers, there you go. Just give me a thumbs up. Cool. All right, Lucy's ready to rock and roll.
What are those? What is this?
That's queso dip.
Queso dip?
Mm-hmm. All right, looks like it's all coming together. No, don't put the sour cream on yet. That'll go on at the end. We're going to talk about that in just a second. All right, guys. So step down. Put that in the sink. Step down. Okay. Go put those in the sink. We are ready to put the nachos in the oven, so let's do that. Be careful. The oven is hot. When you open it, you're going to get that whoosh of hot air. Put them in the oven, and we'll set the timer for 5 minutes. It's going to melt in there. You'll see.
Where's the cream cheese?
That's queso. Okay, so while these are in the oven, let's clean up this stuff and set up our sides and our condiments. Like we did in the enchiladas class, we're going to have condiments to go along with our nachos. So this is where we're going to break out the sour cream and the salsa and all that good stuff. So first, let's put up all our spices. Make sure that the tops are on and that the tops are closed, because you don't want spices to spill. And it also keeps your spices fresh so that they don't get old on you. So we'll put all our spices up because we're finished with those. If you have any cheese left or any meat left, you want to put that away in the refrigerator. And then let's get all these dirty dishes, our measuring cups, over to the sink so they can be washed.
I'm a good cooker. How did you make this?
That is beans and tomatoes.
Yeah.
If you got a little messy with the cheese, go ahead and wipe down your area. If you got a little, tomato sauce splatters, let's get all that cleaned up.
You see tomato sauce?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Okay, and now let's think about our sides. So somebody mentioned sour cream. Can you go get the sour cream out of the refrigerator? Let's get some sour cream if you like it. We can set up the sides, the condiments on the side, so that when people scoop out their nachos, they can make their plate how they want it. Great, so we got some sour cream. I'm a fan of salsa, so I'll get the salsa.
Okay.
I have red and green salsa, so I'm gonna put both of those out. I also have some green onions, which I like to sprinkle on my nachos. So I'll get a green onion here.
Why you got these on here?
Keep them fresh.
Just what's this?
I'll cut up my green onion and get a little bowl for that.
Push. And the little stir.
And then if you have any fresh cilantro, you might want to get a couple of leaves of cilantro and chop that up while we're waiting on our nachos. And if you have some avocado, that might be really good. Or guacamole or guac sauce.
I'm making this.
That would be good to go with our nachos too. So we want to set up our bar for our nachos. We're having a whole nacho party here. We got about
I found it.
We got about 2 minutes left before they're ready. So there's my green onion, all chopped up. Let me get some little bowls for the salsa. That way, folks,
Onions in there?
people can scoop out what they want.
What about the sour cream?
Red salsa, yeah, we'll need a bowl for the sour cream. Here's the green salsa.
What is in here?
Nope, don't put that in there.
Where?
It's on the side. I'm gonna keep it right here. I'll get a bowl for the sour cream. And we are almost ready for our nacho party.
I want to do some. This is my kid bowl.
And I can smell those nachos. They're smelling really good.
Now where is it? This is the onions.
Okay. Sour cream,
Done.
salsa, and then we can put all that away. And let me get a little bit of cilantro.
I want to put some cilantro.
Okay, you pick the leaves off
I'm going to pick the leaves up.
and put them in the bowl.
Pick some leaves off.
Just the leaves. We don't want all that other stuff. Just pick the leaves. There you go.
Leaves.
There we go.
One more.
One more. Perfect.
Big.
There we go. There's our taco bar. Okay, guys, you got your sides set up?
It's ready.
It's ready.
This is gonna.
Make sure you turn the oven off
Mama,
when you take
Mama.
your nachos out.
Bacon it. Come on. Where's your bacon mix? Where's your bacon mix?
That looks great.
You have a mix?
Nope, I have a towel. There we go. So here's my take on fried chicken nachos.
Oh, you can't see that.
Where I sliced up a fried chicken tender
You
and
can't
put
see
it
the
on
food.
top. Don't touch, it's hot. Don't touch, it's hot. Wait,
Hey,
wait.
hey.
All right, I see nachos coming out of the oven. That's exciting. Yay. No, baby. Oh yeah, I see lots of smiling faces for these nachos. So you want to get a spatula so you can scoop them out and put them on your plate, and then use all the different sides that we have to make your plate.
I'm gonna use that.
No, don't touch that. Do you want some nachos?
I just want chips and with that.
Okay, so we're going to use the spatula
Hey,
to get the nachos out.
hey, let me help you. Nachos.
And they should be all melty all the way through. All the cheese melted. Okay, that's good. Thank you.
How can I get it?
It's a
Ew.
little too big.
Where's the cheese?
It's melted in there.
Hmm.
Okay, once you have your nachos on your plate, you can decorate your nacho plate however you want with the sides that you put out. So if you like a little sour cream, a little salsa. It's good, huh?
I'm going the chips.
Sprinkle some green onion on there, maybe a little cilantro. And you've got some awesome nachos. Ta-da! Now before you dig in and devour your nachos, take a picture so you can send it to me because I want to see how your nachos came out. Oh, olives. That's a great idea. I love olives. I forgot about olives. Yeah, take a picture of your super nacho party and send it to me. I'd love to see your finished product. Now I'm gonna taste these nachos because they smell amazing. Once you taste your nachos, you can unmute yourself and tell me how you did. How are your nachos? Mmm. That is good.
I'm eating the chips.
Mm-hmm. These nachos are so yummy. I might have to grab a fork to eat them though, because they're like messy. Those are the best kind of nachos.
So you said we could unmute ourselves to tell
Yep.
you how it tastes. Mine tastes really good.
Yay! Good job, Merritt.
Mine tastes so good.
Nice, nice. I'm glad to hear that, Lucy. Anybody else make some yummy nachos?
It's good. It's good.
Yeah. Nice job, James. Good to see you again. How'd you do, Jace?
Yeah. Kind of fun.
Jackson, you got your nachos out of the oven yet?
They're good.
They're good? All right.
Great.
Who said that? Jeremiah, did you get your nachos out?
Yes,
Are they good?
they're crispy.
Crispy. Nice. All right, everybody. You guys did a great job with the nachos. Thanks for joining me today. Enjoy your snack. And if you're having these later for dinner, enjoy them for dinner. And now you know how to make nachos. You can recreate this anytime with any kind of meat, any kind of beans. You could even change up the cheeses and get real experimental with your nachos. You don't even have to use tortilla chips all the time. You could use plantain chips. You could use French fries. And you could still build up all these layers of flavor like we did today. Jace, they're great. I'm glad to hear it. Good job, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. Go eat your nachos while they're hot. That's when they're their best.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. See you next week.
See you next time. Good job, everybody.
Delicious. Roland says bye.
Okay, bye. Okay, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for coming today and cooking with me.